Hi, my name is Tahni Aitken and I'm a Kindergarten Inclusion Support Consultant for the Northeastern region of Victoria with Uniting. Support is available for kindergartens to support those children who have a developmental delay, who have complex medical needs or who have a diagnosed disability. The support available for the KIS Disability and Complex Medical Needs program can include funding for an additional assistant. This additional assistant will assist you and work as part of your team, not directly one-to-one with the child. The support available also through the KIS Disability program is for consultancy. This specialist consultancy can support the educators with their programming and practices and creating strategies and implementing those that will support the needs of the whole group and their teaching team. The application for the KIS funding program and the consultancy can be found through the government website at www.education.vic.gov.au, and it's under the disability section. Ensuring that you have submitted as much information as you can on that application is really important to get the level of funding and support right at the beginning of the year or ready for when the child starts. I will provide some suggestions to help you submit your KIS application to ensure that you obtain the correct level of funding required. Let's not only think about this application as a funding opportunity, but also as a live document and a planning tool and a comprehensive guide to help you prepare and be proactive prior to the start of the year for a new child or for the second year for a child returning. Whether it's a new application for a child about to start or whether it's a child returning for a second year, let's think about this as being a proactive planning guide, preparing you and your teaching team before the child returns or starts for a new year. This application is a great planning guide also for you to consider the areas of support needs that this child may require. And this could be in those areas that are outlined in the application, such as fine motor, physical, social, and communication. Let's think about what do we already know about the child, but also what are the gaps in our knowledge and what information do we need to obtain to help us to be prepared and planned. The more you know, the better prepared and planned you will be and the more proactive you and your team will be. I'll give you an example. Sam is a 4-year-old boy and he's starting at your kindergarten next year. You are preparing a KIS application to submit for Sam. You've had an initial meeting with his parents and you've determined from them that Sam has some challenging behaviours. And this is around Sam and his behaviour escalating when he gets angry or frustrated. You as a teacher decide that this is important information to submit in your KIS application under the behaviour. But when you're writing your application, you see that there's a little bit more information that you need to know. And this is where you will return back to the family and support and ask them some more questions about the child. Some of these questions might be, how do I know if Sam is having a meltdown? What does it look like when he's having a meltdown? What are some of the behaviours I might see? And what are some of the strategies I can use to calm him? You might also like to ask, what are some signs that Sam's behaviour is escalating towards a meltdown? What might you see and what are some of the strategies that I can use with him at that stage to help him calm? Then you might also like to ask, what are some of the things or ways that we can help Sam after a meltdown has occurred? What will be calming and centering for him? You could also find out what makes Sam happy, and when Sam is happy and calm, what does that look like? This is just one specific area and example where you're just given one piece of information, but that one small piece of information does require a fair bit more of questioning and asking to help ensure that you are prepared and planned and you have enough information to be able to submit in your application, but also to help you and your teaching team know what to do to best support Sam. So when you have a new child coming in and you are submitting your application, think about an approach of no surprises. The more information you can obtain, the better. Use your KIS application as a guide to the questions you might ask the parents, but also the professionals who've been working with the child. And this also is an opportunity for the parents to have their say and assist their child, with their transition to kindergarten. When you have a child and you are submitting a funding for a second year application, You need to consider in this application and describe how the additional assistant has put in place strategies, what those strategies are, and how they have prevented risk or reduced the challenging behaviours from occurring. You will need to then give specific examples of what the additional assistant and the teaching team have done that have prevented risk. During this time of COVID, you might like to also add in some information for a second year application. And this might be around how the child has missed opportunities for early intervention or for therapy assistance for the year, how the child has not been able to meet their specific goals you have set for them due to either non-attendance at kindergarten or intermittent attendance at kindergarten, or where there have been parent complexities or family complexities that have impacted on the child. As a second year application, you will already have a lot of information about the child, and you can use this as a really strong, proactive planning guide to be used to support you and your teaching team with setting goals and implementing strategies that are going to best support the child. I'll provide some further suggestions on some things you might like to consider when submitting your KIS application. Information around specific behaviours, triggers, contexts, where the behaviour occurs, how often it occurs, and what are some of the things happening before and after the behaviour are really important details that you will need to submit in your KIS application. This will help the Regional Advisory Group really assess the level of need and support required for that child. Use your application to help you set long-term goals for the child, and from these long-term goals you can then set some really great, strong, specific short-term goals for the child, and you might even use these under specific areas of social or communication or behaviour. And use the SMART tool: specific, measurable, achievable, realistic and timely. And you might like to set the short-term goal for a 10-week period or via a term time frame. You can use this KIS application as an orientation or an induction guide for a new additional assistant coming into the kindergarten to help them learn more about the child and the strategies that you will use or you are planning to use with that child to best support them. This can also be used as a really strong guide for you and your teaching team to use in developing an individual learning support plan for specific children. The important thing to consider here is consistency. Using your guide and having everybody on board and reading the same application and the same guide that you're using for the child ensures that you are being consistent. And consistency is really important for children to understand your expectations of them. But when you do have a challenging behaviour that you are trying to change, consistency is a really, really important factor in changing the child's behaviour. Lastly, consultancy support is available, so please apply for it if you haven't already. This can be applied for through the KIS application where you tick your box when you are submitting it. Or you can reach out to your regional contact when you do submit your KIS application or after you have submitted if you haven't requested the consultancy. It's available to support you and your teaching team around programming and practices and modifications, and this is to support the children who have got significant risk behaviours to themselves or to others. The consultancy is also available now to support you with your transitioning of children to next year, but also if you would like some support with these applications, please reach out to me if I'm the consultant in your area or to your regional contact for consultancy. It is often really helpful to share with the family the Department of Education and Training fact sheets about the KIS program. Often parents have misunderstandings about the additional assistant and that they may be directly used as a one-to-one support for their child. So if you give this information to the families at the beginning of their time so they have a good understanding about the program, it can lead to reducing the chance of any misunderstandings later on. Sometimes the Regional Advisory Group will suggest the consultancy for a kindergarten. So it's not always the kindergarten requesting the consultancy, and it may be that the Regional Advisory Group has read an application for an additional assistant and they've seen that there's a particularly high support need for that child and they feel that the consultancy might be something that the teachers and the teaching team might benefit from. It's really important to stress the involvement of families. It's really important for families to feel included and involved in their child and their child's education. And this is not only in the day-to-day of the kindergarten, but it's also around the goal setting and the choices that they're making for their child based around what they need and what they want. I will attach a PowerPoint presentation to this YouTube link, and the presentation will give you some ideas and some strategies around specific ways that you can write your application for your KIS funding with really descriptive information to support the understanding of the child and the child's behaviour when the application is put through. Thank you so much for your time today, and I hope that this information was helpful.